Hi, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm Mambo Soleil. I am here for, I was about to say the weekly reading, but that's not what we're doing today. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're not doing a weekly reading today. We're here for happy hour. I've not done it. This is the first happy hour 2025. I think the last happy hour I did was like August or October of 2024 or something crazy. But yeah, hi, here we are today. If you are new to my channel in any way, hello, I am Soleil. I am I am the founder and the facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am Coven Mother of Vision of Dawn Tour. I am, as the intro song stated, a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. And I am the creator of this channel. And so there are several segments that I do here, a lot of which I've lost kind of motion with, for lack of better words, over the last year, but I'm getting back into the swing of things. And this is one of them, happy hour. This is a segment I do late in every week where we come along. If you feel like having a drink along with me, you can have one. I got my little Prosecco here. I wasn't going to drink at first, but I had to, without telling too much of my business, I had to pour Prosecco earlier. And so I was like, okay, I got a little bit left over. I might as well just have this while I'm on the live since it is happy hour. But I come here, I have a drink. If you guys have a drink with me, then that's dope. You guys can have snacks, whatever. We treat this like happy hour. The same way you would have happy hour when you work in the office with your coworkers or you meet up with your friends after work to complain about your coworkers. That's what we do here. So we come on, we talk about pop culture topics, current affairs topics, things happening with public figures, or just themes that are happening in our lives, things that we are experiencing at the moment. So I do try to give titles to each of my happy hour segment, and today's title is Sinners, Shannon, Sharpe, and Self-Preservation. So those are the things that I'm going to be rambling about tonight. But if you guys, have a topic that you want to discuss, anything that you want to say, hi, Nicole. Yeah, I hope you have a glass of wine along with me. I hope you are having a glass of wine as well. Hello, Bertal. Yeah, but if there's a topic you want to discuss as you come into the room, let me know. I typically try to avoid doing readings for the public during happy hour, but I'm happy to answer questions if people trickle into the room and they just want me to answer a question because they weren't able to catch me on Sunday. I'm totally fine with that. But I do want to talk about some things today. And if we don't talk about nothing else that I have in the title of this video, I want to talk about sinners. Okay? Because anybody who knows me knows how much I love Oakland, knows how big of a part of being from Oya Petu. Hi, it's good to see you. I miss you. We've never spent time face to face, but you can't convince me that Oya Petu and I weren't supposed to be born into the same family, and that some wire got crossed, and we just ended up being born through different women. But that's my sister, and I love her. It's good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining the live stream tonight. But yeah, if we don't talk about anything tonight, I want to talk about sinners. Ryan Coogler. So there are four men who make me deeply, deeply proud to be from Oakland. And y'all know, I'm trying to get better about saying that I don't like men or men get on my nerves and all this stuff, because that's not true. But sometimes men can be a lot, right? But there are four men that whenever I think of Oakland and I think of what they've been able to do and their contribution to the world, and they happen to all be kind of handsome, I get really happy. One is Mahershala Ali. The other is Marshawn Lynch. The other one is Yahya Abdul-Mateen. And then, of course, the person we're talking about tonight, I love Ryan Coogler. I love everything about him. Every time he shares more and more about his story, the more I'm like, damn, like, not only are you a dope person, but that is a Bay Area ass story. Like so much about how he grew up, his perspective, how he sees the world, how he chooses to navigate and move through his decisions. It's all clear that that is just Bay Area shit. And I love Ryan Coogler. I love him down to the fact that he has not. My Bay Area accent only comes out when I'm drunk or when I'm angry. It may slip out occasionally, but I'm only like hardcore in my Oakland accent in those conditions. The fact that this man has been able to reach the heights that he has, and he still has his accent. I listen to him talk and I hear home. I hear Oakland. I hear Berkeley. I hear Richmond. And it just does something to my heart tremendously. Like, it's almost like he just woke up one day and was like, code switching, what's that? I don't subscribe to that. I don't, that's not a part of my religion. It's against my religion to code switch, right? Like that. When you hear him talk, that's what it feels like. But I love him so much. So the fact that he has released a project that, again, has the world in a chokehold, okay? Sinners has everybody in a chokehold, right? Even the people who claim to not like it, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute, right? He's released something that has the world in a chokehold. It is unapologetically him and linked to his history. This movie is ancestral veneration. You cannot convince me otherwise. When you listen to him talk about the movie and how he came to create the script and the concept and just come up with the idea, it is literally ancestral veneration. I lost my uncle. My uncle has a deep impact on my identity, how I see the world. I always associated this music and this history with him. And when I lost him, the way that I would conjure him, he uses the word conjure. That's not by mistake, okay? The way that I would conjure him and the way that I would connect with him is by listening to this music. And I would hear him and I would feel my uncle's energy and I would remember the stories. That is ancestral veneration, right? I think one of the most beautiful things you can do is create things in the memory of your people, to create things in the memory of your ancestry. And I'm so just deeply proud of him. For whatever reason, I'm having a deja vu moment. I know we've not had this conversation before, but I am having it. Oyepetu says, OMG, same thing. Let me share it. That dance sequence was literal ancestral veneration. That dance sequence was ancestral veneration. I'm about to say some shit that's controversial. That closing scene when smoke lit up the Klan was ancestral veneration. Think about how many of our ancestors could not fight back, right? Think about how many ancestors we lost during that time period. So even the act of him, even though it was imaginary, even though it was fictional, being able to understand, no, y'all are coming for me, I'm gonna come for you first, right? That's veneration. But the whole thing was beautiful, absolutely beautiful film. And I want to talk about it tonight, because I'm one of the people who is in a chokehold around this movie, absolutely. But I also wanted to check in and talk about it because I think with the response to Ryan Coogler, a lot of the propaganda in the media games that are being played to minimize his success, to make his contribution seem smaller than what it is, are all rooted in the war on Black excellence. Like, we can talk about the war on DEI all we want to. We can talk about Trump and we can talk about all these things. But there's a war on Black excellence. There's a war on Black progress. And if we don't talk about these things, they're not going to go away just because we ignore them. They're not. They're not going to go away just because we ignore them. The fact that this man has had a movie that within less than 2 weeks has broken box office records, and there are still articles coming out with headlines trying to minimize his contribution. There are still critics that are saying dumb shit like, this movie is too woke. How? How is this movie too woke? What is he doing other than authentically representing the Mississippi Delta in the 1930s? What, you wanted him to be a revisionist historian? You wanted him to like show him, like you wanted him to show characters doing a do-si-do or, you know, line dancing with white people? Because that's not what the 1930s were. I feel like it was a very brilliant and a very accurate representation of what the 1930s were, which was Black people scraping and fighting to have something for themselves, doing so as best as they can while staying out of the sights of white people. How is that woke? It's just an accurate representation, right? But woke is a dog whistle. DEI is a dog whistle. Same way that for the last 4 decades, affirmative action has been a dog whistle. Those are all dog whistles. They're all straw men, right? They're all things used to distract from the fact that it is absolutely possible, not just possible, for Black and brown people to be intelligent, to be qualified, to be worthy. Not only is it possible for them to be that, but it's possible for them to be excellent. It is possible for them to be abundant. It is possible for them to break ceilings. And that, more than anything, more than the stereotypes around our violence, more than the demonization of our spirituality and our magic, which I'm going to get to in a minute, more than anything, the fact that just by being who we are, we smash their stereotypes, that is danger. And it's easy for that to talk about how that's dangerous to white people or to white supremacy. But it's low-key dangerous to the Black people who have internalized white supremacy. Look at the amount of Black men who it's not enough for them to say the Annie character, I don't find her attractive. It's not enough for them to say that. They got to go out of their way to harp on her weight. They got to go out of their way to claim that Michael B. Jordan wouldn't date somebody like her. Lies. I know a lot of athletic men, slender men who are with thick snacks, okay? Especially a thick snack truth teller. Hello? Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? But it's the internalized racism that lives within a lot of Black men. And we're going to talk about Shannon Sharpe in a minute. Okay? There's a reason why I picked the 3 topics I have in the title, all right? You notice, if you are seeing these interviews, if you are seeing these TikToks and these reels of Black men who are angry, not just at the movie, but specifically at the Annie character, pay close attention to them. Pay close attention to them. Because you have to suffer from internalized racism to reject a beautiful, statuesque woman just because she's dark-skinned, just because she's a little top-heavy, in order to ride and advocate for strong-faced white women. These men who have issues with darker skin, with full-figure Black women, they're never going after, you know, the Scarlett Johanssons of the world, or the Blake Lively's of the world, or insert whatever pretty white girl. I'm running out of names, right? They're never going after those women, and they are never in relationship with them. They are always with a strong-faced white woman who does not like Black women. Think about how much you have to hate yourself to not only be in partnership with somebody who pales in comparison to the beauty of the people that you claim to hate, but they only want to be with you if you ride hard against and if you talk bad about Black women. It's crazy. As somebody who has dated the rainbow, because I'm sorry, my vanity works in a particular way. I don't really care what color you are. Are you attractive? Do you have good manners? Are you a generous person? Because why am I reaching for my purse? Those are the things I care about, right? So I've dated across the rainbow. I have never once been in a relationship with somebody outside of my race that expected me to talk bad about Black men. I've never once been dated with somebody outside of my race. and they bait me into saying negative things about Black men. It's never happened. So the fact that in the year 2025 of our Lord, Black men still not only have not questioned why white women require that of them, but they get off on it, they like it, they have fun having these conversations where they bash Black women. It's a little fucking weird to me. It's a little weird. It's a little strange, right? Let's see. It's so bizarre. Haley is a white woman engaged to a white man, and there are still Black men falling all over themselves because she talks spicy in the movie. Please calm down. She talks spicy in the movie. I will give her credit for her accent, but it wasn't even really that deep. I'm from East Oakland. I'm not unfamiliar with white ratchets. Like the spiciness she was. It wasn't even that. It was yeah, whatever. But it's just weird. And I think that we are in a cultural moment where the Shannon Sharpes of the world, he's only one I can think of right now, but these men who have vitriol towards Black women and who pant over white female mediocrity, they're going to continue to be exposed. That's not going to go away. And this movie is only exposing them. Like, again, pay attention to the anger. The fact that people were saying that they thought Annie was Smoke's mama alarmed me for multiple reasons. One, the inherent colorism and fat phobia in that, right? The fact that, let's see, it's what they say in public, in private they'd smash. Absolutely, Nicole, and I'm gonna come to that in a minute. But the fact that there were so many idiotic men online saying that they thought that Annie was Smoke's mama alarmed me for two reasons. The first is very obvious, and I think more than enough people have already talked about it, right? Which is that the dream of minstrelsy has been realized to the degree that even Black people aren't capable of seeing normal-bodied Black women without mammifying them, right? You just saw top-heavy, dark-skinned Black woman, and you automatically had to put her into a mammy role. She had to be the mama. She had to be the auntie, which is insane, right? Because women who look like Annie get taken down and get wifed up daily, right? But aside from that, and this was a conversation that I was having with some girlfriends earlier this week, we got to start having real conversations about emotional incest within the Black community. We really do. Because I do think that colorism and fat phobia have a lot to do with the reason why people automatically assumed that Annie had to be a mama. She had to be a mammy, right? And people are forcing mammy readings onto her, even though she was a very strong, self-actualized, independent person, right? But I think it also has to do with the fact that some Black men, and I will venture to say brown men too, because the Daisy Boys I'm not even gonna go there. But I'm gonna talk about Black men because I'm a Black woman, and that's my wheelhouse. I can talk about Black community. We have to be really honest with ourselves about the fact that some Black men have unhealthy attachments to their mama, and the mamas have unhealthy attachments to them. And because of that, there's a lot of emotional incest that shows up in Black communities, right? Because the stills and the pictures that people were using to say this is why we thought she was Smoke's mama, she was cradling him in her breast. She's cradling a grown man in her breast. The only time I let men visit this area is if we hunching, okay? if you are my baby, if you are my man, then you can lay here. I have 6 little brothers. They do not lay on my chest. I don't lay the men who I have a maternal relationship in my life on my breast. I'm not feeling their chest up. They're not grabbing me by the waist. Okay? That's fucking weird. But unfortunately, because again, emotional incest, there are a lot of men who have relationships like that with their mama. smacking their mama on the ass, telling their mama they can get it, grabbing their mamas by the waist. That's a problem. That's a problem. So this lack of maturation that is present, I love Black men, so don't turn it into I'm kicking their back in, but we got to be honest about some shit, right? This lack of maturation coupled with a romanticizing the relationship that they have with their mothers, I think that we got to acknowledge that that's part of the reason why niggas can look at Annie and Smoke and be like, no, that's his mama. Because some of y'all can be mad at me for saying it that if y'all want to. Some of y'all, and that's why some of y'all can't keep a relationship. Because in your mind, your mama is your wife, and the girls that you date and fuck are people that you're cheating on your mamas with. And that's why you can look on the screen, see a dark-skinned, full-breasted Black woman, and be like, no, that's his mama. Because the dark-skinned, full-breasted Black woman in your life is probably your mama, whose ass you grabbing, whose waist you're grabbing, whose chest you're burying your face in. I know y'all weren't ready for it, but we got to have these conversations. It's a lot of emotional incest between Black men and their mothers or the maternal figures in their life. And we got to start having some real conversations about it because it's fucking up y'all's ability to even see a movie clearly. Okay? I think, again, the fat phobia and the colorism, absolutely. But also, y'all having weird-ass relationships with y'all's mamas and not understanding how Oedipal and how unhealthily attached you are to your mamas romantically is part of the reason why y'all niggas can't see this movie right. I'm pretty sure the ads for this movie indicated that she was a love interest. So the fact that their brain went there is wild. If they're broken, then it goes there. Or your pet too. If they have grown up, I think about when R. Kelly said that he was in love with his mama when he was a little boy. And it would make him jealous when men were attracted to his mama. And that he wanted to grow up and marry his own fucking mama. I think that's more common than we are comfortable with admitting. And I think because of that, men, there are men, not all of them, not all Black men. Let me say that before somebody get mad and strike and channel up shit. I think there's a good number of Black men who don't know how to not project mommy and mammy onto certain types of Black women because of their own unhealthy relationships with their mamas. I really believe that. Because in what world would a man grab their mama by the waist and scoop them into their pelvis? In this world, look at those clips of boy moms on TikTok. Women who are literally wrapping their legs around and straddling their teenage boys. You don't think that confuses a boy? You don't think that that's weird for them when they become men? I'm going to stop because we have other topics to get to. Let's get into Shannon Sharpe's cool ass. Anybody else saw this coming? Anybody else saw this coming with Shannon Sharpe? I am in no way surprised by what is happening to Shannon Sharpe, and I do not feel bad for him. Anybody who wants to sit there and say, oh, this is a humiliation ritual, oh, this is them coming for a Black man, this is I saw this coming. I saw this coming when he said that weirdo shit about Megan Thee Stallion. Do y'all remember what he said about Meg? That he was going to have her stretched out like a 9:45. Megan is younger than his youngest child. Why are you looking at Megan Thee Stallion and thinking about having her stretched out like a 9:45? You're a fucking pervert. You're a fucking pervert. There is no reason in the world why a 56-year-old man needs to be with a 19-year-old. No reason in the world. And I don't want to hear any excuses about, oh, well, she's a sex worker. Oh, she's a this and a that. There are sex workers in their 30s. There are sex workers in their 40s and 50s. Even if you don't want to get one in their 40s and 50s, you can get one in their 20s. Why did you have to go after a 19-year-old baby? Operative word, teen. Teen equating to child. we need to talk about Shannon Sharpe for a variety of reasons. And we can get into his own self-hatred and his own internalized curlerism and how he's fucked up towards Black women in ways. And here's the thing, it's so commonplace for Black men in the public space, in the media space, to kick black women's backs in, that they have to outwardly say, I hate Black women, for people to accept it. People don't want to pick up on the small things, right? So I'm not even going to go into that. We don't have that kind of time in this live, but we still have to talk about Shannon Sharpe, because I think he represents, you guys know I'm a prosperity priestess. You guys know that financial trauma recovery is a huge part of what led me to my spiritual journey. And it was the first thing that I learned to help heal other people through, right? One of the main things that I had to heal in myself through financial trauma recovery work and shadow work was the belief that money will corrupt me, right? Because you grow up, especially if you are in politically aware environments. Hi, Tiffany, good to see you. Please continue. I mean, again, we're doing happy hour, so I'm talking a lot, but please continue to say hello as you come into the room, because I do want to say hi to people. But hey, Tiffany, I'm glad you could join us. And the reason why I had to release those thoughts was because I, like a lot of people, grew up watching folks who had a lot of money do horrible things, right? These are the people that are sexually coercive. These are the people that will defund hospitals. These are the people that will, defund programming for the poor and for children who need education, right? I've watched most of my life at a grand scale people get money and become corrupt, right? So that was one of the first things I had to deprogram for myself. What does this have to do with Shannon Sharpe? Well, in my time as being a priestess and actively accumulating more male clients, I am starting to understand that a way that men are groomed and socialized around money and power is to believe that the more money they get and the more power they have, the more that they have a right to dominate and hurt people. And one of the main ways that you can dominate and hurt people, particularly women, is through pedophilia and sex trafficking. Let's be real. Let's talk about it, right? So this conversation about how rich men deserve young women is deeply predatory. It's deeply predatory and it's deeply fucked up. And we have to interrogate it further, because what does that mean? And what kind of messages around money are we internalizing as a culture, right? The more money I have, the more people I should hurt, the more people I should dominate. Even if that domination means a literal sexual domination of children. We got to talk about it. We have to talk about it. Why is that? What's his name? Bill Belichick. Why is he with a 22-year-old woman? Why is Shannon Sharpe paying for 19-year-old sex workers? Why is Anthony Kiedis, or whatever his name is, from Red Hot Chili Peppers, why does he have an 18-year-old girlfriend and he's in his 50s? These men are dating babies that are younger than their children. They're dating babies that are younger than their children. And they're doing it for multiple reasons. One reason is they can do more and get away with more with literal children who don't know how to defend themselves than they can with a grown woman. I think an older woman, a woman who's more established and into herself, is either not going to let Shannon Sharpe choke her, or if he goes too far, he's going to have some consequences to deal with, right? It's not okay. It's not okay. And then also you have to ask yourself, and this is why I'm teaching the class in my Patreon about the difference between emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. It was supposed to happen this Tuesday. It's happening next Tuesday. Long story, whatever. But I'm teaching this class because I deeply believe, and I know it for a fact, based off of my own spiritual training as a spiritual mother in the community, that we have a problem collectively, not just in the Black community, it's global. And it's rampant in the West, particularly in America. We have an emotional maturation problem, and the men suffer from it the most. Men can sit there and talk all that shit about, oh, we just want younger women because, their bodies and You should not have anything in common with a 19-year-old at 56. You should not have anything in common with a 19-year-old at 56. If you listen to that audio, the way he's talking to her is the way that another 19-year-old man would argue with a 19-year-old girl. Oh, nothing, Gabby. You're being an asshole to me. You're just being mean to me anyway. Since you're going to be mean to me, it's fine, nothing. That's not the way that a 56-year-old man who is the father of multiple adults and the grandfather of many should be communicating with a woman. Shannon Sharpe has the emotional maturity of a 17-year-old boy. He has the emotional maturity of any random 16, 17, 18-year-old boy you would find on Twitch. And so again, men have found a masterful way to make their predatory pedophilic behavior some sort of fault on women, and saying that women are doing something wrong by aging and maturing and becoming fully actualized people. No, there is something broken in you if you are a man in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you can only be in a relationship with a 19-year-old. And not only can you only be in a relationship with a 19-year-old, you communicate like that 19-year-old. That's a maturation issue. You are emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually stunted. I will never forget, Oya Petu says, I will never forget R. Kelly having me out here singing Age Ain't Nothing But a Number when I was 15. These men are so stunted. They are deeply stunted. They are deeply stunted. And when you even listen to them talk about why they want to be with 19, 20, 21-year-old women, I want to mold somebody. I don't want somebody to argue with me. I don't want somebody sharing a whole bunch of opinions. I want somebody who's going to do what I say. So you want a bully. You want somebody that you can bully and then fuck. That's what I'm hearing. You don't want a partner. You don't want somebody that you can build with. You don't want an actual relationship that's built on mutual reciprocity. You want a thing that you can bully and then fuck in between bullying them. I'm telling myself, I listen to the Joe Budden podcast all the time. When you listen to the way that Joe talks about his relationships with women, how he calls the women he claims to love stupid, and how he kicks their back in, and how he brags about the ways that he humiliates them. You want somebody that you can bully and then fuck in between bullying. You don't want a partner. And that's what's wrong with a lot of these men. A lot of these men have insecurities that they developed, high school, college, maybe even junior high. And then as they get older, instead of going to therapy or seeing the lady, hi, hey, I'm the lady. I'm a priestess. I'm the lady. Every male client I have tells their family or the people that they refer to me, go talk to the lady. They don't say mambo. They don't say priestess. Go talk to the lady, right? But instead of them going to a therapist or going and talking to the lady or getting a life coach so that they can actually heal and move past these wounds, every woman that they date becomes some sort of target or some sort of experiment for them to be able to recuperate from whatever they were hurt by when they were bullied in school. So now you're dating somebody who's 20 years younger than you, 25, 30 years younger than you, and you're calling them stupid every 5 minutes. They're not stupid, Grandpa. They just don't understand your old fuck-ass references. You sitting here quoting Harlem Nights and the baby was born in 2000. How the fuck is this little girl who was born in 2004 going to understand your Harlem Nights references, sir? They got nothing to do with her being stupid. You don't want to date somebody who's your equal because God forbid you date your equal and they point out the spaces of immaturity and the lack of maturation within you. Of course, you as a 41-year-old man who ain't got shit and who just secured a job down to the State Farm don't want to date another 40-year-old woman who may be more accomplished than you. Because when she asks you questions like, hey, sir, why don't you have this? Why haven't you done that? Oh, this is how I did X, Y, and Z. You don't want that from a woman. What you want is somebody who has not seen enough of the world so that they can be impressed by your scraps. If you 40 and you dating a 19-year-old, she's going to be, she's going to be impressed by the fact that you own your Mercedes-Benz. Your Mercedes-Benz that you may not own, right? She's not going to ask you about a 401k. She's not going to ask you about credit score. She's not going to ask you, And if she is savvy enough to start asking that, you're going to try to gaslight her by telling her shit about how that's why she's going to be alone forever and to shut her up. And depending on her age, she may fall for that. But we got to start having we have to have real conversations about why men who date with these huge age gaps date the way that they do. And it ain't got nothing to do with our beauty. It has nothing to do with the fact that women lose value over age. A woman is like wine. We gain value with age. We gain value with age. Okay? I'm telling you this. I have so much more wisdom and maturity and skills in an area that I'm not going to talk about because I'm a lady now than I did in my 20s. Any man would be blessed to be with me. So no, we do not lose value as we get older. We gain value. But men who date younger women aren't looking for value. They're looking for somebody that they can dominate. They're looking for somebody that they can win arguments easily due to them not having enough experience to point out the holes in somebody else's arguments. They're looking for somebody who has not lived enough of a life to accumulate their own, whether that is their own wealth, their own skill sets, whatever. So when this nigga starts acting up, they can pick up and leave easily. A 19 or a 20-year-old who is just marrying into a relationship and ain't got no fucking money and barely ain't even got no credit is going to have to deal with more of your shit than a woman who's in her 40 and has the world figured out. And so we have to, even if it's just for the sake of our psyche, so that we don't fuck around and internalize that BS, we have to start having more real conversations about the predatory reasons why men date so much younger. I don't have a problem with age gap relationships. I typically date older, right? So I'm not sitting here saying anything's wrong with age gap relationships. Somebody who's 5 or 10 years older than you, that's not that big of a deal, especially depending on where that is, right? A 35 and a 45-year-old, that's nothing. I would say even a 25 and a 35-year-old, that's kind of big, because of what those life phases are, but still it's not that big of a deal. My nigga, 19 and 56, that is a 37-year age gap. That means that he was middle-aged when she was born. I want you to think about that. That man was middle-aged and retiring from a career when this baby was born. Ain't no reason why they should be sharing a bed together. I don't care what nobody say. And I don't want nobody to be like, oh, well, my grandma was 14 and, her first husband was 41 and all this other shit. Yeah, that was shit that happened in the 1920s and 30s. We are now in 2025. It is better to not know than it is to know and not do. When you have wisdom, you do better. And there's a reason why statutory rape laws exist. Your grandmother is not okay. I don't know how many of you guys are pissed off by me saying that, but I'm gonna keep saying it. I actually might teach a class within the next month. A class about spirituality and the divine feminine called Your Grandmother is Not Okay. Because the amount of y'all who can't face the fact that these women, these grandmothers, these aunties, these great grandmothers that you are deifying and claiming that you want to return to, you're not acknowledging that they're not okay, right? Grandmama fell out from the sugar and passed away at 62 because of all the stress in her body from all the shit that not only her fucked up husband, but the emotionally immature men in her family put her through all her life. Why are we romanticizing this? Why are we calling this in for ourselves? So I'm not surprised that Shannon Sharpe is going through what he's going through. I'm not. He gives deeply self-hating, dark-skinned nigga in the NFL. From his own words, this is somebody who said, I don't know what it is about us football players, but we all got the same type. We want the same type. And it's just the light-skinned color hair girls. We just something about them light-skinned color hair girls. I'm a firm believer that if you can't see yourself as beautiful, that reflects in your dating. You sitting here and Shannon Sharpe is big as fuck and charcoal black, and he got something against any woman that's darker than a paper bag. That is fucking crazy. That is self-hate. The villain being Irish in Sinners is a perfect example of the oppressed happily becoming the oppressor. These men want to bully and demean like they once were. There's no other reason. Let's go back to Sinners just for a minute, and then I'm going to wrap up with the self-preservation conversation, because I think there's lessons to learn both from Ryan Coogler's life. Love Ryan Coogler. Love him. Both from Ryan Coogler's life and what he's going through, and also from what Shannon Sharpe has exposed for us about why self-preservation is important. I kind of wanted to talk about the Shonda Sanders thing too, but realistically, I would have been on here lying. I don't follow sports. I just know that when I was a little girl, I had a crush on Deion Sanders. You can make fun of me if you want to now because he's old. I don't care. But in the fucking 90s, Deion Sanders was the man. And you could not convince me that I wasn't going to marry him when I grew up. I don't care. But now that he has a whole ass child that's a grown ass man in the NFL, makes me realize that time flies, right? But I want to say one thing about, and I highlighted your comment, Oya Patu, because I think it's really important. The brilliance of Remick, the brilliance of him in Sinners, and him being a vampire trying to exploit and steal the gifts of Black human beings for himself, but deeply not seeing himself as racist. Chef's kiss. Again, the brilliance of Ryan Coogler. Because some of the most predatory people, some of the people that do the most damage. See, Oya Patu, this is why you and I are sisters. Because when I was talking about how fine Deion Sanders was in the 90s, people were staring at me like I was crazy. But no, that was a fine ass man. I remember loving him and just being in love with him. And my Uncle Bobby, when he would come on the screen, my Uncle Bobby would be like, go sit your fast ass down. Because he was like the first person that really did that for me, right? But the brilliance of Remick, really deeply not believing that he was racist and being like, no, we're about equality. We're supposed to love each other. But having a deeply racist and predatory motivation and then acting in a way that was really, really racist and fucked up was absolutely brilliant. Also, and I'm not seeing enough people talk about this, but this is what stood out to me, right? Because this is how white covetous behavior works, where they want what we have so deeply and so bad that they are willing to literally extinguish us to get it, right? Not knowing that if they kill us, the gift dies with us. I remember sitting in the movie theater and listening to him being, and when that scene comes up and he's like, we want Sammy. And they're talking about why they want Sammy so bad. They want Sammy because they need his gift to connect to his ancestors. I remember thinking like, but if you kill Sammy, the gift dies with him. What the fuck? Like, but that is the thing. White people want us close enough to absorb our powers. Not understanding that if they kill us, the powers, the gifts, the blessings die with us. If he would have gotten Sammy and killed him, Sammy would have just been a vampire and Sammy would not have been able to connect to the ancestors. Part of becoming vampiric means that you lose your soul connection. And if you don't have a soul, if you don't have a fucking soul, what are you connecting to? It was so, but again, that is the nature. Think about if you've ever been, and I'm not going to go off on a DEI rant, but if you've ever been employed in a space where you learned once you got there that you were the black token, right? And you see how you get treated, how they overwork you, how they trot you out when they need a person of color representative, all this shit, and how it kills your spirit and your energy over time. And then once they've drained you, then they're tired of you and they're trying to force you out of the position. That is like the cycle and the predatory nature of whiteness. In a nutshell, we want your gift, even if that means that we have to kill you, and even if in killing you, the gift dies with you. It's cyclical. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But even with that, they're not going to stop doing it. Do you know why? Because in their mind, they're good people. In Remic's mind, he was a good person. We're all about equality. We are not racist. We're not with the Klan. We're all about equality. I'm still going to kill you the way that the Klan was going to do. I'm still going to try to find a way to extract your gifts. And even if you die in the process of me trying to extract your gift and I don't get it, oh fucking well. But I'm not racist. I believe in equality. That's your neoliberalism. That's your white liberalism right there. Again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie. And I can go on and on and on all night. Why am I grabbing my cards? Did anybody want a reading? If somebody wants a reading and they haven't typed out their questions because of the nature of the conversation, type your question out because I know somebody wants a reading. That's the only reason why I grabbed my cards. But I want to wrap up with talking about self-preservation, okay? It was giving, I have Black friends. It was giving, I have Black friends. But let's talk about self-preservation. Sinners is a movie about vampires. It's a movie about people literally extracting your soul, stealing your life force, stealing your life essence, right? Shannon Sharpe is a person who was receiving warnings with just the amount of public warnings that he got. I know the clips of Kat and Monique and other people are, and Ocho encouraging him to date an older actress or an actress closer to his age. I know all those clips are going around because people have been trying to warn him, right? Some of the most vampiric people are people who you can't say shit to, right? No matter how much you warn them, no matter how much game you try to put them up on, they won't listen. And then once they have the destructive moment, once they have the tower, once the bad thing happens, they are expecting you to give them blind loyalty. They are expecting you to sacrifice yourself to help them, right? That's a form of vampirism too. It's emotional vampirism, but it's vampirism, right? I think that between just the overall message displayed through the vampires in Sinners, the shit that we're seeing Shannon Sharpe do, and the stuff that we see people trying to do to Ryan Coogler in terms of his excellence and minimizing his cultural contribution. I think all of that should really give us pause and make us reflect on the significance of self-preservation this year. I'm not going to go into my personal drama, but last year was filled with many separations and many revelations about how people who claimed to love me really see me in my life. And I had to make moves and decisions that were really hard for me, that really kept me up at night, but allowed me to start this year with a clean slate, right? And those separations were acts of self-preservation. And even though they were hard, they were ones that I needed, right? They were hard lessons, but they were ones that I needed. Shit's only gonna get weirder this year. It's only gonna get weirder throughout the rest of this year with inflation increasing, with the supply chain issues we have, with people getting fired left and right, with folks being written out of their jobs, losing grant and federal funding for their nonprofits, for their farms. Things are tough, and they are tough for everybody, okay? So if you are one of the people that are blessed to be in a position where you are not suffering, where things are going smoothly for you, preserve your peace. Preserve your peace. Do not put yourself in situations where you gotta suffer in order to have community or to keep people around you. Do not put yourself in environments where you have to shrink in order to survive. If people are telling you you're too much and it's too much, and they're whatever, let them choke. Let them choke. Let them choke. It's okay. Let Ryan Coogler be an example of making people choke on your brilliance. Don't make yourself smaller so that people can consume you more easily. Because guess what? Either people will rise to the occasion and they'll figure it out and they'll find out a way to advance their palate, or the people who crave chicken fingers and hot dogs will sit there and say the ignorant shit and expose themselves. I thought Annie was his mama. Why they gotta have a dark-skinned girl with fucking, I was about to say Brian McKnight, Jesus. That's not. Why they gotta have a dark-skinned girl with Michael B. Jordan? Why can't we embrace this girl that's 1/8 black or 1/16 black as a black woman? I've got to say something. As a sociologist, you couldn't have convinced me that we would be in 2025 having people knuckle up on behalf of octoroons. Like the fact that octoroon is even a phrase that we're using in this cultural moment again, right? Like, and think about it. This is a Trump thing. This is that far right shit making a resurgence. This is all this trad wife shit. We live in a really weird cultural moment. So the fact that octoroon is even in the public lexicon, and that not only is it in the public lexicon, we are fighting for octoroons to be the representation of Black women over actual Black women. 2025 is some other shit. I say that to say, preserve your peace. There are going to be a lot of fucked up conversations happening. There's going to be a lot of shitty things happening. If it don't bring you peace, leave it alone. Self-preservation is essential because we don't live in a cultural moment where we want people to be preserved. We don't. The amount of people, there's so much jealousy and hater energy right now, and it's coming from the sense of lack and also from the sense of insecurity that most people have. I have had situations in the last year where people actively thought that fucking up my money was going to put more money in their pocket. And you only think that way when you are broke, or painfully insecure. And I think a lot of us are going to have moments of heartbreak around revelation, around who in our life is dealing with such severe lack that they would really want to pull the coins from our purse or the food from our mouths. And the easiest way that you can protect that, you're not going to protect yourself from that by trying to change other people. You protect yourself from that by standing in self-preservation. Because why are you even letting those kind of people have access to you? What's going on with you where you feel like you need to be around people so badly that you would take those kind of crumbs? Self-preservation is going to be key for the rest of this year. It's going to be an absolute necessity. When you see somebody has vampiric ways, when you see somebody has self-destructive ways, when you see somebody is so rooted in their ego and so insecure that even when they are running into a fire or creating the same mistakes over and over again, that you try to point that out to them, and instead of them being grateful for the wisdom, they attack you, they verbally abuse you, they slander you, they start rumors about you. Why are you even engaging with that? Self-preservation is what's going to save you from the energetic vampires and the insecure people and the zombie-like people in your life. I can't wait for a Haitian zombie movie to come out. Because we have a cultural representation of vampire. We need to talk about zombie. There are some people that are zombie and don't even know it. There are some people that are so on autopilot and so unhappy and so disconnected from their souls that they really don't know what else to do other than make things uncomfortable for other people, only other than to feed on the joy of others. And so the way that you protect yourself from vampire, from zombie, is through self-preservation. So look at the areas of your life where you can see this person, I don't wish no ill on them, but this person got some ways of viewing the world, of viewing Black women, of viewing people like me that will be of detriment to me if I keep allowing it access, and act accordingly, right? If you have a Shannon Sharpe in your life and you still letting them have access to you, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't be shocked when you look up and they're doing things to betray you, or they're playing in your face, or they're living a double life. Pay attention to habits, pay attention to the environment. Allow it to instruct you on how to protect you. We think way too often that the right thing to do is to be the bigger person and to continue to let people have access to us. No, when they show that they are a danger, when they show that their spirit is corrupted, protect yourself. Protect yourself, right? Yeah. You treat them like a trick. Yeah, that's the only way you can really deal with it. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Somebody did have a question, so I want to go ahead and answer that before we get out, because I asked y'all to ask me questions and then I forgot. I kept talking. So I see 2 questions, so I'm going to go ahead and answer those, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave for the night. Who's calling me and why? Oh, hold on a second. This is my student. Hey, love, can I call you in 5 minutes? All right, I'm going to call you back. Okay, so let me answer these questions, and I'm going to get on out of here. As I'm answering questions, I just want to update you guys on the things I'm working on. Taurus season sale is still going on. There are 10 more days in the sale. If you want to book a private reading with me, you can go to soleilconjureshop.com, book your reading, and use the code Taurus, TAURUS, at checkout to receive 25% off, okay? Healing Hearts Our forgiveness 30-day program is coming up. It's going to be starting May 15th. It's $35 for a 30-day program created by one of my godchildren, Manze Grandpier, who is a clinical psychologist. So this is a 30-day healing and forgiveness program. If you know you struggle with forgiveness, if you've had any life experiences that have led to you holding any lingering resentment, if you're struggling with grief, consider joining us for this program. This program will really, really, really help you with that, okay? What else is going on? Charm School is open. I am doing interviews for Charm School for the month of May. Those interviews will close at the end of May, and they will not open back up until August. So if you are looking for mentorship and you want to join Charm School, click the link below to join the intake group, okay? Siobhan, I have an ex-homegirl that keeps coming around, and I've told her the friendship is done. What are her intentions? Ancestors, angels, Ascended Master, spiritual walk with me. What does Siobhan need to know about this homegirl that keeps coming back up? What does she need to know about this friend? What is this friend's intentions? Any words were shared is deeply appreciated. And then I'll do Tiffany, and then I'll do Tori, and then I will close out for the night, okay? If you appreciated the live and you want to send a love offering to show your appreciation, my Cash App as well as my PayPal are scrolling below. But again, if you can always just, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. That's the best way to show your love and appreciation. I deeply appreciate everyone who subscribes to my channel. I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers before the year is over. I don't know if that's going to happen because I have less than 400 right now. But every time you like and you subscribe and you recommend my channel to other people, you definitely help me along that journey. Okay. I'm going to say, so 2 things are happening. So Siobhan, I don't know if you're the only spiritual person in her life or one of few, but she does feel a very deep and intuitive connection to you. It's almost like she doesn't fully understand her own spiritual identity without you being present. You very much anchor her in that in a really particular way. She also feels like whatever you guys are going through, it's going to blow over eventually. King of Pentacles, Taurus energy, they don't really let things go very easily. So she feels like whatever is wrong, as long as she perseveres and is stubborn enough, is loyal enough, you will eventually get over it. I'm not trying to be mean, but she also just don't have no fucking friends. Like, this is not somebody that has a whole lot of friends, right? So whereas in your mind, it's like, okay, I'm done with this. Why can't you just heal and move on? If you are an adult person and you only have 3 or 4 friends and then you lose one, that can feel like the end of the world. So her intentions are, A, she feels a connection to you because you are grounded spiritually in a way that most people around her are not. She also feels like she can wear you down and that eventually you'll just get over this situation. But she's also a little lonely. She doesn't have very many other friends. And so that's a lot of what's happening right now. Okay, Siobhan, I hope that was helpful for you. Why was I already on your site looking at getting my next service? Lol, stop reading my... I didn't know that you were doing that. Oh, well, I hope that what I shared was helpful. Siobhan, let me know if that resonates with you. Tiffany just wants general messages. So typically, Tiffany, I don't do general message readings on my live stream, but because you're Tiffany, I'll make an exception, okay? Let's see. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits walk with me. What does Tiffany need to know at this time? What messages do her ancestors and the spirits in her court want her to receive at this time? What guidance do they have for her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. All right. Yeah, it's interesting. The Two of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, and the Four of Wands are coming up. You are, okay. Two of Pentacles, tightrope energy, money being stretched thin, but also it's a card of overwork. So this is why you're tired. This is why you're tired. You are worried that what you have will not stretch far enough. Here's the thing. I always tell people, when you're worried about money, you make your money problems worse, right? So in order for you to get your energy reserves back up, regardless of where your finances are right now, you have to change your beliefs about money. If what your belief is, I'm only going to be able to make ends meet if I stretch myself too thin, then guess what? The universe will provide you with situations that stretch you thin while you are already stretched thin. Stop engaging in petty arguments. There's somebody you're bickering with right now, and in your mind it feels big, and in their mind it feels big too, but in the bigger scheme of things it's really not. And you need to sit still long enough to evaluate the stuff that's making you upset and making you go off. And it's in that sitting still that you'll be given wisdom from spirit that helps you to realize that the things that are agitating you really aren't that deep. They're not that deep. And again, going back to the Two of Pentacles, the only reason why you're experiencing them is that deep is because of these other anxieties you have that you don't feel comfortable voicing, because you feel like if you do, it sounds like you are just repeating yourself, and you low-key kind of are. So my advice to you would be, try to pay attention to the times when you're arguing over petty things and slow down, because you'll realize they're not that important. But also, regardless of where you are with your money, change the way you speak about it internally, so that way you can get different results. I hope that was helpful, Tiffany. You're welcome, Siobhan. Let's see. We had one more question. Let's see. Tori wanted to know, is the remote finance position that I'm considering in alignment? Does my court have any guidance for me? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, what can you tell us about this remote finance position that Tori is considering? Is this something that's in alignment with her? Will it meet her needs and help her follow in her purpose? What do the spirits in her court want her to know about this position? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. Final question for the night. So what I'm getting is that alignment is not the word that you need to be focused on. Will this job serve a purpose? Yes. It'll absolutely serve a purpose. It will bring you emotional security and comfort, because you need something to occupy your time right now. You need something that's going to make you feel safe and like you're being poured into and taken care of. This job will also provide you with the opportunity to rebuild your savings, right? So it will be profitable. And not only will it be profitable, but so the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that's still. They don't like to overexert themselves. They work hard. They're good workers, but they don't want to work hard, right? So this job will allow you to accumulate while not overextending yourself, right? The reason why I'm saying that alignment is what you need to not be thinking about is because we already know this is not your career. So you're being warned against Seven of Swords, the Thief card, card of self-sabotage, card of manipulation. Be careful with thinking that this job is going to solve all your problems. What I mean by that is, yes, it's going to help you rebuild. Yes, it's going to bring you emotional comfort. But in terms of alignment and your greater purpose, this is just, it's not going to meet that. So what I will say is that what it looks like from these cards and what I'm getting from the candle is that spirit is on board with you taking this job, but they don't want you to betray yourself or sabotage yourself in the long run by staying in this position past your expiration date. So work this job. If you're there for 2 years, that's dope. But if you look up and you're there for 5 years, questions. Does that make sense? I hope that was helpful. All right. Love you all. Thank you guys for joining me for my first happy hour segment of 2025. It feels crazy saying that because it's May. But again, your girls had to make a lot of changes, and things have been kind of up in the air for me at the beginning of this year. But I'm grateful to be back in my swing, grateful to be back in my motion. Love you all. If you are interested in joining us for Healing Hearts, click the link below. If you are interested in learning more about Charm School, we are doing interviews all this month. Click the link below to join the intake group and find out more information. If you are interested in getting a reading with me or purchasing any of my previous classes, head on over to soulconjureshop.com and use the code Taurus at checkout to get 25% off of any purchase over $60. And if you want to get a reading, a live reading during my weekly forecasts or my weekly energy readings, come back here and hang out with me this Sunday at 8 o'clock, okay? Love you all. I'll see y'all Sunday. Oh, sorry, Sunday at 7 p.m. Sundays are 7 p.m., Thursdays are 8 p.m. See you Sunday at 7 p.m. Love you all. Please be good and do good. See y'all in a couple days. Bye.